Plato, one of the most influential ancient Greek philosophers, believed that the world of appearances is just a shadow of a higher, unchanging reality. This idea is captured in his theory of forms. Imperfect objects in space and time, like circles, living things, or even justice, participate in perfect, eternal forms that exist beyond the world of the senses. Plato divided the soul into three parts: appetite, spirit, and reason. In his famous allegory of the cave, he illustrates how most people live in ignorance, mistaking shadows for reality, and how philosophers, through reason and education, can turn around and glimpse the truth. In politics, Plato favored rule by philosopher kings, those who understand the forms, especially the form of the good. For him, a just society mirrors a just soul, with reason ruling over spirit and desire. Plato has influenced Western civilization in countless ways. Aristotle was a 4th century BCE Greek philosopher who sought to understand the world through reason, observation, and systematic classification. Unlike his teacher Plato, who emphasized abstract ideals, he focused more on the concrete world. Aristotle made important contributions to the development of the science of logic. A central feature of his philosophy is the theory of the 10 categories. These are 10 fundamental ways in which a thing can be described: substance, quantity, quality, relation, place, time, position, state, action, and affection. Aristotle described the world as made up of substances that change according to 4 causes: material, formal, efficient, and final. He believed everything in nature has a purpose, or final cause. In ethics, Aristotle focused on how we can achieve happiness, or human flourishing, through practicing virtue. He believed the good life means living virtuously and in balance between excess and deficiency. His ideas helped shape Western science, logic, ethics, and politics for centuries. Thomas Aquinas was a 13th century Italian philosopher and theologian who sought to harmonize faith and reason, Aristotelian philosophy, and Christian theology. He believed that truths revealed by God and truths discovered by reason ultimately agree, because both come from the same divine source. Thomas argued that we can know God exists through reason. His so-called 5 ways are 5 arguments for God's existence. These are based on the idea of an unmoved mover, a first cause, a necessary being, a highest good, and a final end. Yet while reason can lead us to know that God exists, faith is needed to understand deeper truths like the Trinity, according to him. In ethics, Thomas developed the idea of the natural law, that moral principles are built into human nature and accessible to reason. By following these laws, humans fulfill their purpose and move toward union with God. His work remains a cornerstone of Catholic theology and continues to influence philosophy today. René Descartes was a 17th century French philosopher who is often called the father of modern philosophy. He sought certainty in knowledge and began by doubting everything he could, senses, the world, even mathematics, until he arrived at one indubitable truth. I think, therefore I am. This became the foundation for his entire system. Descartes believed that reason, not experience, is the path to true knowledge. He divided reality into 2 substances: mind, thinking, non-material substances, and body, material, extended substances, a view called dualism. This separation raised deep questions about how mind and body interact, issues still debated today. He also aimed to prove God's existence through reason alone, arguing that the idea of a perfect being must have come from a perfect source. Descartes' emphasis on doubt, method, and reason helped launch the scientific revolution and reshaped philosophy for centuries to come. Immanuel Kant was an 18th century German philosopher with revolutionary ideas about knowledge, ethics, and reality. In epistemology, he argued that we don't perceive the world as it is in itself, the noumenal world, but rather as it appears to us through the structures of our mind, the phenomenal world. He called this his Copernican revolution. Instead of assuming our knowledge conforms to objects, he claimed the appearances conform to the way our mind structures experience. Morality, for Kant, is grounded in reason and the autonomy of the rational will, not in consequences or emotions. Kant developed the idea of the categorical imperative, a principle that says we should act only according to maxims we could will to become universal laws. Kant's philosophy bridges rationalism and empiricism, arguing that while all our knowledge begins with experience, not all of it arises from our senses. His work laid the foundation for much of modern philosophy. Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel was a 19th-century German philosopher who saw reality as a dynamic, unfolding process. He believed that history, thought, and even reality itself developed through a dialectical pattern. This pattern often includes three moments, sometimes called thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. Each moment or stage contains a contradiction that drives progress to a higher unity. At the heart of his system is the absolute, a complete spiritual reality that gradually comes to know itself through human history, culture, and philosophy. For Hegel, reason is not just a tool of thought, it is the very structure of reality. Human freedom emerges as we come to understand our role in this rational whole. In ethics and politics, Hegel saw the modern state as the realization of freedom. Freedom is realized not in isolation, but through participation in ethical institutions like family, civil society, and government. His ideas influenced Marx, many existentialists, and countless others in philosophy, politics, and theology. Karl Marx was a 19th-century philosopher and economist who believed society evolves through stages: feudalism, capitalism, socialism, each marked by internal contradictions. He saw history as a struggle between social classes, driven by material conditions and economic forces. Marx thought workers are exploited in modern capitalist societies, alienating them from their labor and each other. Over time, he believed this would create greater inequality, leading workers to become aware of their oppression, a process he called class consciousness. Marx predicted that the working class would eventually overthrow capitalism and replace it with socialism, where the means of production are owned collectively. His ultimate vision was a classless, stateless society where everyone is free and no one is oppressed, and the resources are distributed based on need, not contribution. Marx's ideas influenced politics, economics, and history across the world. His focus on power, ideology, and material structures remains central to critiques of modern society. Bertrand Russell was a 20th-century British philosopher known for his work in logic, language, and analytic philosophy. He aimed to bring clarity to philosophy by applying the precision of mathematics and symbolic logic. With Alfred North Whitehead, he co-authored Principia Mathematica, attempting to ground all math in logic. Russell believed that many traditional philosophical problems arose from misuse of language. He developed the theory of descriptions to resolve puzzles about meaning and reference, shaping modern philosophy of language. He also emphasized empirical evidence and skepticism, aligning with the scientific worldview. Outside of logic, Russell was a passionate advocate for peace, education, and reason. He criticized dogma, whether religious or political, and championed free thought. His blend of rigorous analysis and public activism made him one of the most influential thinkers of the 20th century. Martin Heidegger was a 20th-century German philosopher perhaps best known for his exploration of being. In his major work, Being and Time, he asked a fundamental question: what does it mean to be? He argued that philosophy had forgotten this question and aimed to recover it through a deep analysis of human existence. Heidegger described human beings as beings who are aware of their own existence and can question it. He emphasized our lived experience, our finiteness, and our relationship to time and death. We are thrown into a world we did not choose, yet we are responsible for how we live. Authenticity comes from facing our mortality and freely choosing our path in full awareness of death. He was critical of modern technology and how it reduces the world to mere resources. Though controversial for his political ties, Heidegger's work deeply influenced existentialism, phenomenology, and postmodern thought, making him one of the most challenging and famous thinkers of the 20th century. Simone de Beauvoir was a 20th century French philosopher and a key figure in existentialism and feminism. Like Jean-Paul Sartre, she believed that humans are not born with a fixed essence. We become who we are through our actions and choices in a world without predetermined meaning. Her most famous work, The Second Sex, argued that one is not born but rather becomes a woman. She explored how society constructs femininity and how women have historically been treated as the other in relation to men. Liberation, for her, means rejecting passive roles and embracing active responsibility. Beauvoir believed in the importance of freedom. Simply acknowledging that we are free is not enough. We must actively choose to embrace our freedom and take responsibility for our choices, which includes recognizing and promoting the freedom of others. Her work helped lay the foundation for modern feminism and continues to influence debates on gender, identity, and human freedom,